it. But Boa doesn't even get a moment to be thrilled. Pain lances through her, sharp and blinding, and she shrieks at the unexpected agony beyond knowing. She can't see the shape of it yet. She still has to figure out how and what exactly this is, but she is certain of one thing. Her mother did this to her. She is sitting by the freshwater pond, washing the blood off her newest stump. 6 claws gone. When she has lost all of them, what will go next? Her ears, her horns, her tail barb, her wings. She shudders. She has to be so careful with her spells. There's no way to know which one will cause enough damage to kill her. She lost her second claw trying to heal the first one, and it only half worked. The wound closed, covered over with a shiny new layer of scales, but her claw did not grow back. She used a normal bandage on the second injury and thought for a long time. Her third claw, sacrificed for information. She enchanted a scroll to truthfully answer any question she asked of it. Through the pain and the spinning stars around her head, she made it tell her what her mother had done. One final curse. She should have expected it, should have enchanted something to protect herself. But she'd had to move fast when she found the boa-changing scroll in the piles of bags her mother had forced her to carry across the desert. Her mother was so rarely careless, or perhaps Boa was rarely smart and alert enough to catch her when she was. And now Jerboa has left her this, a last spell that was a masterpiece of awfulness. Every time Boa tries to use animus magic, she will lose a piece of herself, bit by bit, until she dies of her wounds. The spell specifies that the pieces could not grow back, even with magic, and it is reinforced with words of binding that mean there is no way to reverse it or fight it. Boa tried, anyway, which is how she lost claws 4 and 5. It didn't seem fair that she could be injured by spells that didn't even work. Her mother learned a lot over the years about what animus dragons could do to each other and how to word spells so other dragons couldn't break them. Boa remembers all the horror stories now. Everything her mother told her to try to scare her away from animus magic. But she'd never taught her anything. Boa knows nothing about protecting herself as an animus. And I'm not a normal animus. I'm cursed. All right. So, she can live without magic. She is still free of her mother. This is her chance to have the normal life she always wanted, free in the world, meeting other dragons. Maybe it wouldn't be the glamorous enchanted whirlwind she'd imagined, but it would be 1,000 times happier than her life up to now. She would be herself. She would choose her own path. She would be free. At that point, she had looked at her maimed talons and realized it would be hard to walk into any dragon village and make friends looking like this. She'd have a lot of explaining to do. So, then, goodbye to her 6th claw, as a new spell was added to the shell necklace, casting a glamour so that she looks normal and intact to any dragons who see her. No one will ever see what her mother did to her, or know how much pain she is in. Boa still has several objects her mother enchanted, and she knows what about half of them do. Her information scroll can tell her the rest. She might even be able to sell a few of them to a queen somewhere, if she dares to risk it. And if she's ever in danger, one thought will bring her right back here, to this hut by the ocean, to the floorboards that cover her mother's grave, where she can dance and dance, and no one will ever tell her to stop or cast a spell to make her fall over or enchant away her love of music for 100 years. I hope you didn't die thinking you'd won, Mother, she says out loud, because unlike you, I can control myself. I don't need to use my magic. I'm going to be happy despite everything you've done to me. She spreads her wings and lifts into the sky. She is taking a break from other dragons. She does this occasionally, goes back to her hut for 50 years or longer, until everyone she's met this time around has forgotten about her, and she can come back as someone new. It might have been longer than 50 years this time, though. Has it been closer to 100? It's so peaceful on her beach, all alone with waves. In the cities, around other dragons, she is constantly tempted to use her magic, even knowing the pain it will cause her. But here, she never thinks of spells she wishes she could use. She can just be. She has one friend, a dragon who knows the truth about her. They met by accident, before Glacier became queen, but Glacier is not like other queens. She believes in solving her own problems, and she knows how dangerous animus magic can be. She also knows the cost Jerboa has to pay every time she uses her magic. Jerboa took off her glamour once, so Glacier could see her as she really is. She was surprised when Glacier cried. No one has ever felt sorry for her before, or told her that it's not fair, everything she went through. In all the years they've known each other, even through the recent war, Glacier has never asked Jerboa for a single spell. Once, Jerboa asked her about that, and Glacier said, "You should save your magic. Someday, the world might really need it, and you'll be the only dragon who can save everyone." Jerboa had laughed. "Me? Like a hero?" "Why not?" Glacier had answered. "Don't you think you're here for a purpose?" 2,000 years was a long time to wait for a purpose, Jerboa thinks. Maybe she'll have to invent one, eventually. She is strolling down the empty beach toward the water, thinking about what kind of fish she'll catch for dinner, when the universe suddenly crumples inward, and an unfamiliar voice says, clear as a bell, "Bring them here. Every animus dragon in all the 7 tribes. Bring them here to my throne room right now." And before she can think, or breathe, or run, she finds herself standing in a sunlit black marble throne room. In front of her is the largest dragon she's ever seen, a Nightwing Icewing hybrid, menace radiating off him. He has his back to her, and as she appears, 3 more dragons appear in front of him, 2 Sea Wings and another Nightwing, all looking completely terrified. Jerboa doesn't hesitate. Centuries of reacting to fear have trained her well. She is barely in the room for a moment before she seizes her necklace and whisks herself home again. She is in her hut, her heart pounding, her claws sinking into the weathered wooden floor, which she has replaced several times over the years, but always in the same spot, where her mother is buried. "Thank you, Mother. For once, one of your spells has saved me." The magic has brought her home, but is she actually safe? Who was that? And all those other dragons, are there really 5 animus dragons in Pyria right now? Didn't Mother say the limit was 1? How is this possible? She scrambles over to her trunk and tosses everything in it aside to get to her answers scroll. "Tell me who that was," she says. The writing goes on for a while. The scroll is usually very concise, but it seems to have a lot to say about this Darkstalker. His past, his history. He was alive back when my mother was, she thinks. The spell that tucked him away, the mistake that freed him, the Nightwings who follow him. "What does he want with animus dragons?" she asks. "To control them," the scroll answers. "To use their magic instead of his own. To preserve his soul, and to be sure that they can never be any threat to him." Jerboa shudders, feeling sick. What if he'd been facing her? What if he'd gotten his claws on her and forced her to use her magic? What if he found it amusing to watch her slowly sliced into pieces until she died? I have to protect myself against him. I have to cast something to make myself invulnerable to his spells, or something to make me more powerful than him. She reaches for one of her copper bracelets, then hesitates, struck by a chilling thought. Why did he summon all the animus dragons right now? Because his magic told him someone was casting animus spells, and he was afraid they might be against him. She asks quietly, "He can tell when someone uses animus magic?" "Yes." "Can he sense me right now?" "No. His spell only searches for new enchantments." "How can I protect myself against him?" "That answer is not available yet." She knew it would say that. It can't see the future or tell her what's going to happen. It is sort of useless when she needs to hide or make plans or, for instance, when there's a big, ominous magic user haunting the land. Once she tried asking it, "How long will I live?" And it answered, "Until you die," which was neither comforting nor helpful. Maybe this is it. Her purpose. Maybe she's the only dragon in Pyria who can stop him, if she can come up with just the right spell. "Is this my purpose?" she asks the scroll, knowing what it will say. That answer is not available yet. I could kill him, couldn't I? With one stroke of magic. Or put him back to sleep under the mountain the way he was before? Except, if he's as old and dangerous and powerful as her scroll says. Has Darkstalker protected himself from other dragons' animus magic? She asks. Yes. She stands up and starts pacing around the hut. The world is in danger, and there's nothing she can do. In a way, it's a relief, because she would rather hide here.